These are some notable recent call-ups, and it's a young man's game. We know that, but it kind of feels like we're getting to see, prospects a little bit earlier than normal. I mean, so far this year. And here are just a slew of guys. Alec Thomas got his first career hit coming up. He got it over the weekend yesterday. George Kirby was unbelievable in his first starting pitching outing yesterday. Royce Lewis, we saw him because Carlos Correa's banged up. Don't sleep on, though, Jose Miranda and Josh Winder. That they might not be able to take Winder out of the rotation, and Juan Yepez for the Cardinals. But let's talk first off here about what we saw from George Kirby. I mean, over the weekend here, he did a phenomenal job for Seattle.
Yeah, that dude looked like the, you're on the train tracks. What are you going to do? Because the train's coming. Right. I mean, he was just blowing, and the stuff was doing this. So it's nice to see these kids. And when you talk about somebody coming up to the big leagues maybe sooner than we used to, part of it was probably the spring training that we had this past year being shortened. But the other thing is the prospects. Their stuff is good. Their skill level is good down in the minor leagues. So when you put numbers up and you have that shortened spring training that we had and some people go down, sometimes you're not in any other point but to say, let's call up somebody because we're going to need to look at them. So I think we're going to be on a pace to see a lot of people. More people keep coming up because they're going to be shuttled up and back a little bit this year. But Kirby, when he was out there on the bump, dude, he did not look like he was any day at the beach for any right-hand hitter to go up there and face it, because he had some stuff doing this way, 6'4", big old dude, and he was very deliberate, and then boom, and then coming out.
I think for guys out of college too, being out of Elon, you're a couple years out. You've already had that experience. You're not a young player, but when you looked at Kirby's stuff, 96 to 98, wipeout slider. I mean, he has big league stuff right now, so I'd be shocked if he's not here for good.
Yeah, first Mariners pitcher to throw 6 shutout innings in his debut. We saw Royce Lewis over the weekend, Carlos Correa. Luckily, doesn't have a fracture in his finger, so we will see him. Didn't even go on the IL. But they called up Royce Lewis, and you know what? He looked pretty comfortable.
Well, he was the first pick overall a few years back. I mean, this kid's an absolute stud. And then what happened? ACL last year. Tore his ACL at the beginning of the year. Missed the whole season. So for him to be back up and back in the big leagues, man, it's a great sign. Just shows you how deep the Twins are, the prospects that they have, the development that they still do. Great to see Lewis up there playing short.
And he made it up in time for Mother's Day right there. That was nice as well. No, Case knows this kid. We saw him in Chicago. Were you there with me that year?
Yes.
When Royce was there? And the best kid when you're talking to him.
Okay, good. I like
attentive right in there and everything else. But when I watch this guy play, it's pretty impressive. He went bridge in Wrigley too as a 17-year-old. Jumped back up about 2/3 in the bleachers with no wind, and I'm sitting there looking at this going, all right, I get it. I get it.
What about Jose Miranda, too?
Yeah.
I mean, also, on that Twins team, because Miguel Sano, is scuffling a little bit, and so they got Miranda, and he just came up, and it looks like he is completely unafraid.
It looks like he's been there a long time.
Yeah.
I think this guy's track record in the minor leagues, he's never not hit. So I think when he got called up to the big leagues, he was, yeah, it's about time. And I'm not saying that he has that kind of attitude. I'm ready for this. Yeah. But when you look at this swing, you look at the way he covers ball, he goes the opposite way. Everything that he does up at home plate, I think, looks right. You talk about a sturdy dude at 6'2", 210. He's probably going to get bigger and stronger at age 23. So, like I said, he's never not hit.
Yeah.
It's what he does. So I expect him to continue it.
When I look at Miranda's swing, too, it's so A to B. It's just so short.
Yeah.
And you see guys like that. Sometimes you see young guys with a lot going on. Yeah. Oh, man, that's big power. It's going to be inconsistent at the big league level. Miranda's a great contact guy. So when you see his swing, that A to B swing, that's going to play a long time.
They hit 343 in AAA. And we talked about if you're a team trying to make a move, you have to make sure you hit on your prospects. And I think the Twins are in a good spot here now because they're playing a lot of homegrown kids. They bring Correa in with a huge deal. And obviously Correa is going to play shortstop for him. So Lewis, but they're giving him a little taste. But, Correa can opt out after each year on the deal. So if he opts out, you give this kid a little bit of run.
And let me hit on Correa just a little bit because we talked about George Springer in the last one about being dynamic. I mean, certainly Correa is. Right. But also coming from Houston. And those two guys been there, done it. So even when Correa first came over, start of the year, he didn't get off to a great start. but he's still got the track record where he can still have a voice.
Right.
You know, it's one thing if somebody's got a year or two under his belt and scuffling, he starts popping off in the dugout. Shut up, man. We don't want to hear that.
Right.
But Correa's been there and done it, so he can offer that up as well. But being injured a little bit, watching Royce come up, because you know Correa can help him. But when Correa comes back and Royce is still swinging it, you're going to find a spot for him because the guy might be ready to stay in the big leagues long term, and then you got an asset.
We all have to make sure we don't jump ahead of ourselves and we still remain patient. They're young. They're going to go through their ups and downs. But we're just pointing out the fact that they've come up and they've made a nice little impression early on.